we're gonna have one other person from Europe joining us. He is in my email list, and he did some long seminars with me in Tiruvannamalai. His name is Gert, and he's from Sweden. And he wrote me, and he's excited to join us with Panchadas. But I see he's not here. Cloud is coming in now. Oh,
but you're not saying, is this?
Say it again.
Well, are you saying this session is part of Panchadasi study, or are you saying this different?
Oh, no. I was making mention of Gert, a person that I know from my seminars in Tiruvannamalai, and he has contacted me already 10 days ago, excited about taking part in the Panchadas class. He's a busy man. He has business and family, but he's going to participate. But he's not here today because he knows that Panchadas is going to be on Mondays.
Okay.
Okay. Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Namaste. Welcome everybody back. So we're having our Q&A based on the human pursuits, the chapter on the human pursuit. Human pursuit. So we know that the humans, they are always pursuing something or another. Huh? So, but the scriptures have classified that in three different groups, as we know. And then there is a small group of crazy people that begin pursuing something referred by the scriptures as moksha, self-knowledge and moksha, but it's very rare. Most people move in between those three human pursuits, as we know. So having said so, what we have to discuss about the human pursuits?
Well, my first question, I mean, comes right from your comment. Why is number 4 seen as so very rare? And it's something that you can have like a kindling, like a small spark, and does it grow? And if so, how do you tap into that spark in terms of letting it grow? So, so 2-part questions, like why is it so small? And such a, you said there's a small number of people who, have this goal. Does everybody have it and they just don't, is it ignorance that covers it up?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And first thing is why so little people looks for moksha directly. And since you brought up the fact that in truth, everybody is seeking for liberation. Everybody looking and searching and pursue objects of experience belong to those other 3 categories. They are unconscious. They are looking for to put an end of the sense of inadequacy and limitation, insufficiency, and so on. They want to put an end to that, but they go about trying to control certain experience, so that one may feel totally secure financially, emotionally, and then one may feel like, wow, if now I'm feeling safe, I have money in the bank, I have a good relationship, and I am loved, and so we want securities from different angles, and then we know that behind And behind this desire for security, by having money in the bank and by having a source of love coming from another individual, we know that deep inside what we are searching is for our limitless nature. Our limitless nature always looks for reestablish its natural state, so to speak. We are naturally, we are limitless, we are whole, we are complete, we are full, we are satisfied. And the fact that we feel otherwise is due to ignorance of our true nature. But the fact that we have this ignorance operating, it somehow it forces us to find a solution to remove this sense of limitation and inadequacy. But usually we go about doing so, by the search for security, the search for entertainment and pleasures and sensory satisfactions, and for the sake of knowledge, of therapies, and human betterment in terms of our mental, emotional, psychological structure. There are different ways we go about trying to reestablish our natural limitless fullness and completion as conscious beings as we are. So you said something very interesting. Everybody's looking for moksha, but people do it indirectly rather than directly. So what it means to do it indirectly? Okay, I want to tap into and experience my fullness, and I want to do it indirectly by the means of accomplishing certain objects of desires. So I want to be rich, I want to be respectable, I want to to be famous, I want to be just, even I want to have limitless resource so that I can enjoy all the pleasures, sensory pleasures that media eh, offers us. Because if I want some sensory pleasures and I cannot afford it, again I have this sense of limitation. And then I moved into spiritual knowledge. I started seeking dharma, and then in that field I am converting my desire for security and sensory pleasurable objects of desires. I move that into spiritual knowledge, karma, dharma, upasana, trying to become a more centered, a more balanced, a stronger mind, a more pure, more sattvic, a more sensible and just person. All of these are pursuits which are attempts to restore our natural fullness and completion and satisfaction, which is inherent to our nature. You understand? But we do it indirectly. We do it trying to manipulate the field, around these three categories of desires for different objects of experience. Indirectly, I can try to do that. But what's the problem of reestablishing my fullness indirectly? Is that I'm always dependent on the object of my desire. So if I get into a good relationship, and this relationship is going to fulfill me, provide me with the love that I have been searching for, providing me with a lot of stability, emotional security. You understand? And then the next month, next year, I lose my dear relationship. You know. And then what do you mean? I have reestablished my sense of security and fullness, but it was indirectly by the means of a certain object. So I was making my fullness and completion dependent about the accomplished of a certain desire, a desire for emotional security, as in this example. So we go about trying to reestablish our natural fullness by the means, of gaining or accomplishing things in life. So once we go over the objects of security and the ones of pleasure, sensory pleasures, so we naturally we start, moving towards the desires for Dharma, you know, desire for spiritual understanding, knowledge in regards to God and the Jiva and how to behave, how I move in Mitya. So I want to be a better person. I want to be a fair person. You know, I have an appreciation for these spiritual values. So all of these, it's possible only when we have seen through the limitations of the two initial human pursuits, which is security and sensory pleasures. You understand? So once we see the limitation, we start developing this tasting or this passion towards these objects of security and these objects of sensory pleasures. We begin developing this passion, and then we start moving to Dharma. You understand? So we have a desire for being a fair, a balanced, a just person, you know, a person who is sensible, with empathy, with respect to all forms of lives and so on. So this is part of this growth. So the samsaris, they live within these two first levels of human pursuits. They want security and sensory pleasures. So we become spiritual when we move into the search for Dharma, for spiritual knowledge. You understand? Personal spiritual elevation, development. So this is the desire for Dharma. You understand? Spiritual knowledge. So all of these indirect means, because even if I have a good understanding of Dharma and Karma, and the laws governing the human experience in Mitya. So I'm still depending on certain actions to get certain results, meaning to say punya results, so that I feel at ease, I feel satisfied, I feel secure, I feel safe, I feel complete, I feel fair, I feel good about myself. I have a good, self, my self-identity, my self-esteem is high, and then I feel good. People start loving me because they see that we are good people, we are respectable people, we are balanced people, we are wiser people, So all of this is part, of this indirect means, because we still depend on certain actions to provide me with certain punya, which is going to give me a sense of stability, a sense of security, a sense of peace of mind, and so on, okay? So very rarely, going back to your question, David, we find individuals that saw the limitations of these three levels of human pursuit. And then they turn from the pursuit of Dharma into the pursuit of self-knowledge, you understand? And this is the directly way, you understand, to reestablish, which is even not the correct way to put it. We cannot reestablish our sense of fullness and completion, because we are always full and complete, regardless of the notions we entertain about our nature, about who we are, what we are. But somehow that sense of incompletion gets corrected, only when we directly search to reestablish our fullness, wholeness, and completion by the understanding, that I am and I have always been whole, full, and complete. I have always been of the nature of security, of the nature of joy, of the nature of peace, shanti, satisfaction. This is the nature, you understand, of consciousness, of the self. So the directly way is when we come to the Upanishad, when we come to Vedanta, and Vedanta is going to affirm that here we're going to accomplish that which is already accomplished, In Tattva Bodha, it's presented, Shankaracharya presents it, the accomplishment of the already accomplished. So we want to accomplish something that is already accomplished and can only be understood, intellectually, by following the logic, presented by the Upanishads. And then we're going to look at the logic, analyze the logic, put it to the test intellectually, and then we're going to have to gradually develop this certainty in regards to our nature as fullness, wholeness, and completion. It's the accomplishment of something that it was already accomplished. It's like the joke of the guy. I think Mark used reading glass. Yeah? So sometimes we are just we can't see very well without reading glass, yeah? And then we are looking for our reading glass, and the reading glass is on our head. Yeah? And then we go about, hey, did you see my reading glass? Exactly. Yeah. Did you see my reading glass? And then you ask to everybody around, your girlfriend, your wife, and so on. And then slowly, someone comes and points out to you, or you want to accomplish something that you already accomplished because you have your reading glass. It's just sticking up there, and you are missing out on this fact, this simple fact. Huh? Or it's like the guy who goes to God is a very, very serious devote of Ishwara, and he invoked Ishwara until Ishwara showed up. And then he asked Ishwara, so I want finally enough to have a head between my shoulders. And then Ishwara has a big laughter and says, what are you talking about? You know, it's impossible. I will never be able to do that. And then the devotee got really frustrated because, I mean, I have been working my entire life to invoke you so that I could directly ask you that. And you're going to deny what kind of God you are, you know, with the all-knowing, you know, with all the power. You cannot provide me a head between my shoulders. And then Ishwara explaining him, I cannot provide you with what you already have. So that's when our search for fullness and completion becomes directly, no longer dependent on some indirect factor that's going to provide me a sense of fullness and satisfaction, which is temporary. Okay? So going back again to your question, everybody's searching for moksha, for the removal of this sense of inadequacy and insatisfaction, dissatisfaction, insufficiency, and limitation, and so on. Everybody wants to remove that. You understand? You see, everything follows its nature. What's the nature of water, for example? The nature of water is wet and coolness. We have never seen hot water, unless fire is applied to the water. But the nature of the water is coolness, freshness. So now we take the water to the stove and we apply heat. So the water is not going to be happy. And the water is going to struggle because it does not want to lose its nature as freshness and coolness. So what it does, it's going to turn itself into steam. And then from steam, it's going to go into the atmosphere. And later on, it's going to come back again as water. You know, everything struggles to keep and maintain its nature. We see it in nature as well. We see the ocean. The ocean is a beautiful symbol of fullness, wholeness, and completion, because the ocean goes through this cycle again and again. So what is the fundamental true nature of the ocean? So we know that the waves are not really the true nature of the ocean. And the ocean itself is not the true nature of the ocean, because the true nature of the ocean is water. So we have this ocean, and talk about ocean, the manifestation of this water that covers the surface of our planet. So the entire surface of the planet covered by water, we call our oceans. But the nature of the ocean is water. So this water, we see that this water again and again gets evaporated by the sun, and then it goes, and then it becomes clouds, the clouds, and then they move around, and then they precipitate in the mountains, and then they are going to feed the rivers, okay? And this water is going to come back and merge back into the ocean again. You understand? So we can see this cycle. The water, due to the application of heat from the sun, it's somehow, in order to keep its freshness, in order to keep its true nature, it evaporates, it goes into clouds, it moves to the mountains, it drops, and it comes back to the ocean. So likewise, we do unconsciously search for this, to this natural state of fullness and completion. But as we know, and it's natural that it is this way, most of us want to do it, we tend to do it indirectly by trying to interact with these different fields of objects of experience and try to extract this completion and satisfaction, stability, security, joy, happiness. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody does everything for this completion and happiness, but it's just very rare individuals that understand that. And this is a very, very unique kind of accomplishment. Is the accomplishment of that which is already accomplished, you know. And this is something that people they find, they think that we are crazy, you know. What? You need to do something to become something else. No, 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 Vedanta says you don't need to do anything to become anything else. You need to understand, you know, your nature, because your true nature is the ultimate desire in your mind. All these small desires, they are just leading to this ultimate desire, which is the understanding of your true nature as fullness, adequacy, and satisfaction, and peace, and so on. Yeah. So very, very, very few people get to Vedanta and feels attracted by this simple notion, the accomplishment of that which is already accomplished. You just need to understand your true nature. The identification with the body-mind complex is such that people say, no, 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 this is not spirituality. I'm doing my spirituality here. I'm trying to control my experience and having some samadhis and some, you know, some good experience with ayahuasca, with whatever, meditation, you know, or asanas. So people, they think that that is true spirituality. But the fact is that moksha can only be gained by understanding that we are already free, you understand? And that requires quite some work in preparing the mind to more, in a way that the mind is attracted to that, you know, to attract by this invitation, you know, because it's the only solution. Everybody is going to get some sort of happiness and satisfaction and fullness and security and joy here and there indirectly by the means of accomplish some goals in life. But maturity is to come to a point that you are no longer satisfied with temporary solutions, you know. You want a permanent solution. And not only that, to feel whole, full, and complete by indirect by means of accomplished thing is a huge struggle. You need to work so hard to try to have success in your endeavors, in your accomplishment, that by the time, even when we really get it, when we really succeed, sometimes we are already worn out. We are stressed out because, you know, it's so hard to do. I mean, look into the field of accomplishing wealth, money, you know, security, $1 million, the big American dream, you know. I mean, nowadays, $1 million is not much, but 30, 40, it was a significant symbol of freedom, of financial freedom. How much struggle one needs to do. I mean, I never shared that with you, but when I went to United States, I totally fell for the American dream. And there was a period that I said, I want to be a millionaire here. And then down the road, I understood, you know, that this is just childish, you know. A big, a nice, beautiful home with a swimming pool and this and then none of this is going to solve my problem here, you know. So it boils down to maturity. and the ability to understand, that there is no object that will ever resolve this fundamental existential problem of the human jiva, which is the sense of dissatisfaction, inadequacy, limitation, insufficiency, and so on. I don't know if it has covered. No, it did not cover the second part of your question. The second part of your question, David, was like, so if it's so rare to develop this understanding, it begins with the understanding that only knowledge will do it. You understand? You need to develop this maturity and this sort of intelligence to understand that, yes, it's right. Only knowledge will solve this problem. Only this spiritual knowledge, this knowledge in respect to my true nature is going to solve this problem. So it takes a lot of growth and maturity to come to that. And then your question is, so once we get into that, so what can we do to make this process faster, to bring more and more fuel into this mumukshutva, okay, this desire for self-knowledge, this desire for moksha. So we need to do what we are doing, We need to be again and again associated to the scriptures, and then submitting our minds, and then doing our homework, and studying the scriptures and resolving our doubts until we feel that this desire now it cannot be stopped. The desire for self-knowledge and moksha, it needs a good push in the beginning, but it comes to a point that nothing can stop it. This is a very, very simple but truthful concept, So we need discipline, and we need someone to encourage us and to inspire us, We need to really force us to do some work in the beginning until we begin reaping the fruits, and then this desire is backed up by a total conviction that only by the means of knowledge I can experience my security, my joy, my happiness, my completion, my adequacy, inadequacy, and so on. Only by the means of knowledge. So we need to keep doing what we are doing, exposing the mind to the scriptures, keeping this association with the scriptures, and then our mumukshutva keeps growing. Maturity is everything.
I understand. I'm just thinking, like, what would a Christian say to that? And a Christian might say, well, I do all these things. I mean, I understand this whole idea of security and pleasure, and that those are all temporary and those are short. And then I need a more spiritual life. And then ultimately, my desire for freedom is really relinquishing everything to God. So I let it all go. I know that I'm not responsible for anything, and that it's all in God. And so in God I trust, or in God we trust. So I'm just thinking, like, this is a Vedanta view, but it's not that dissimilar, at least from the Christian point of view.
Yeah. Well, but this is the spiritual process. That's why we don't discard karma and dharma and upasana. You understand? So this is the initial process. We go from these mundane desires, and then we have a desire for God. We shift our dependence on objects, on experience. We shift our dependence from the object of security and pleasure, my house, my car, my relations, my my status, the pleasures I enjoy every day with good food and good this and good that. So I shift my dependence from that to be dependent on God. You understand? So when you become a karma yogi or a good Christian, so you have shift your dependence from the world to God. And we are talking now about God manifest as Ishwara, the Lord of this universe. So you keep Ishwara, this intelligent order principle, yeah? this living conscious thing, which is made of pure knowledge. You understand? Governing and adjusting and regulating and bring everything to balance again. It's the intelligence of the universe, Vishwa. And it's also manifested. So you begin developing this vision of the universe as Ishwara, and you start to understand the intelligence behind this manifest universe. So now you are relying on Ishwara more and relying less and less in the world, you know. So you have changed your dependence from the world to God, to Ishwara. And then the last step, which goes simultaneously, you keep your association with Ishwara as a good karma yogi, but you begin developing association with Nirguna Ishwara, which is Brahman, okay, which is conscious awareness, conscious limitless awareness as the only reality, okay. So, and that is to move your dependence from God to the self. So now, what is to depend on God? Oh, depend on God is, okay, I realize I am an individual jiva, I am this body-mind complex, and I depend on Ishwara for everything. And from this dimension of jivahood, that is a fact. But the moment that I start contemplating, and shifting my dependence to Brahman, to Nirguna, Ishwara, I'm just moving my dependence to the self. And the self, slowly, it becomes clear in my mind, that it is my very nature, my true nature, the nature of everyone and everything. And then dependence to the self is synonymous of independence, self-dependence, dependence on that which the only reality. So I don't depend on anything because I depend on the self, the only reality. So it is synonymous of independence. So you bring your dependence, your association, from the world to God, and from the God to the self as your very nature. And that is freedom. Freedom is independence, is another name of freedom. It means like I'm whole, full, and complete, and I don't depend on any other factor, so that I can hold my satisfaction as wholeness, fullness, and completion. You understand? So the Christians will most probably not understand this conversion of dependence on God to dependent on the self. The Christians usually, most probably, they are going to scratch their head and say, "Oh, these people, they are philosophers, They don't know what spirituality really is. Spirituality is devotion to God and doing and helping others and doing what you can, to attenuate the pain, the suffering that we experience as humans."
It's like the transition from duality to non-duality.
Exactly.
So if we stop in duality, we can stop in duality, but to really get to, to apply the knowledge is to understand the true nature of self. We have to get beyond duality and understand non-duality.
Exactly. Yeah. So that goes to what I was saying in the beginning. I mean, to go about reestablish your sense of fullness indirectly means duality. So I feel okay, I feel peaceful, I feel joyful, I feel secure, but there are certain conditions. So I indirectly I can experience that, but first I need to accomplish certain conditions. This indirectly means duality. Indirectly means I experience my fullness, satisfaction, and so on as my very nature. So there is nothing, there is no indirect means, there is no catalyst there, there is no reason, that is going to make me feel satisfied and complete. So this is only possible by self-knowledge, understand your true nature, understand, which is non-dual, which is independence, not depending on objects as a means to reestablish or to experience my fullness and satisfaction, and peace. And we don't need to go to the Christians. I mean, most people in the spiritual world do not understand Vedanta, the Upanishads. They think that the ultimate is to love God, to love Ishvara, Saguna Ishvara, you know.
It's still duality, yeah.
It's still duality. Duality in Mithya. Jiva in relationship to Ishvara.
So we're talking about spiritual development, number 3 in this, in light of karma yoga, dharma, and upasana are really our means to help cultivate that, and develop that sense in terms of, our pursuit. In number 3, our pursuit of a spiritual life, and that relates to karma yoga and dharma, karma, and starts getting into yani, so that you start to understand, number 4, because you have to have some understanding and some knowledge, some teaching, some knowledge of the Upanishads before you can get really exposed to understanding what number 4 is.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why we don't look down on the pursuit of Dharma, the pursuit of spiritual knowledge as dualistic spiritual knowledge, Jiva in relation to Ishvara in the field. So we don't look down because unless we go through that, the mind is, with rare exceptions, the mind is not refined or purified enough to go into the Upanishads, It's too subtle, the Upanishads. So we need to gradually convert those attachments, those desires, those pursuits of pleasures and security into Dharma. And then later on, naturally, your pursuit for moksha, for freedom, by the means of understanding that you're already free, gradually it develops. Nothing happens overnight. And that's why the Vedanta groups, they are usually small.
I just think of the number of times people ask me something, and I say, "Well, where do I start?" Or what have you read? And I say, "Well, read the Bhagavad Gita," and maybe I give them an idea of like a very basic version of it, and they don't do it. So they're just not ready for that yet. They're just they're not ready.
Yeah, I mean, to meet people ready for karma yoga is already rare. You understand? You get people who are attracted to meditation, to yoga, asanas or meditations, and you get people because it is a very quick way to try to remove this nagging sense of mental disturbance, emotional, psychological disturbance. When you begin, if your mind is already a little bit more purified, and then you can go into meditation, and then you're gonna calm down the mind, and then you're gonna experience, you're gonna have a better experience about yourself in the world. But if you don't bring karma, dharma, and ishvara into your equation. So your efforts are not religious efforts yet. It's just an effort to calm down your mind. It's more like a exercise on relaxation, relaxing the body mind complex. People do that by the means of asanas and meditation, but I often point out the fact that those are mostly uh, exercise for relaxing the body mind I mean, only complex, only when you bring God into the equation and then literally begin understanding karma yoga, you are not really a spiritual person in the true sense of this word. You are a meditator, you like to do what you do with your body, you may repeat some mantras, but you did not understood yet that your goal is not to calm down or to relax your mind so that you feel good. Your goal is to understand the true purpose of life as a jiva and later on as a means, to purify so that you understand your nature as consciousness, which is only possible by the means of knowledge. Most of things that you see in the spiritual world is not really spirituality, just preparation for spirituality. We need to begin somewhere. So I often mention my own case. I began with therapy because I was really screwed up, and then later on I was attracted to Osho, and then I started doing more therapies and then meditations, and I did that for 10 years, and then I was finally a little bit more qualified to understand what people like Ramana Maharaj and Nisargadatta Maharaj, among others, they were pointing to. They were pointing to the self, your consciousness. But it's a process. We need to begin somewhere. So again, we should never really look down on these gurus at the entry level. You remember me mentioning the teaching of Swami P that there are three levels of teachers. One is the initiating guru, and the other is the inspirational guru, and the third one is a teaching guru. A teaching guru is a guru, yeah, that unfolds these teachings of the Upanishads as the only mean to remove this sense of inadequacy and limitation, which is a byproduct of ignorance, self-ignorance. Here, where I am, there is this whole area here in the central part of Brazil is highly spiritual, but all entry level, all kinds of spiritual circles, but they are all, entry level. They did not come to really Karma Yoga yet. That's why Karma Yoga is under the umbrella of Vedanta. Vedanta is the end of the line when you really come to the end of the Vedas. So you need to become a Karma Yogi. So most people they are not really ready. They may have a certain sadhanas, a few sadhanas, devotional sadhanas here and there, but it has nothing to do with Karma Yoga. It's just an idea of worshiping a certain deity, a certain god. Oh, my Krishna. They may have this relationship, which is already something, because at least they brought God into the equation of life. But they are not really, they have no clue about what it is to be a Karma Yogi. And that's where, Vedanta begins. It's quite a stretch, David, for most people.
And that's I keep going back to the Shraddha. I mean, it's always this inquiry that you have. So even as you get into Karma Yoga and Vipassana, I mean, you still have this inquiry, this striving to intellectually understand more and gain more knowledge until it actually can. but you don't even know that that's what you want until you get into it.
Yeah, totally. So, do we have any other question or contributions in regards to the 3 human or the 4 human pursuits introductory chapter? So we would not survive without David, huh? We would all become samadhi yogis, you know. We would be in silence here, closing our eyes and enjoying the silence.
Hey, Arlindo.
Hey,
first paragraph, the first paragraph on page 4, it basically says, there is no gain without a corresponding loss. And the higher the gain, the greater the price that must be paid.
yeah.
And that made me think about moksha. Like moksha is the highest gain that we can ever gain in life. In which case, the loss incurred, I started then thinking, okay, so what are the losses that we incur? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is this is a little bit. I understand the statement, but it needs to be understood within a certain context. Because when we come to Vedanta, we understand that there is a price to pay for moksha, you know. And what is the price fundamentally? The price is our ignorance. We need to pay with our ignorance. Vedanta is going to remove what? Our ignorance. You understand? But the problem is that we are so attached to our ignorance that we feel that it is a real loss. You understand? Oh my God, I am ignorantly believing that I depend on my social status, my relations, my home, my profession, my body. I'm totally, you know, convinced that, and now Vedanta is telling me that, you know, that I'm free, that, you know, I'm not my personality, that I'm not my association, I'm not my social position. So it's going to destroy me, you know, it's just going to strip you of your ignorance. But due to this identification, we feel that it's a huge price we are paying, you know. But no, Vedanta is going to ask for our ignorance. Give me your ignorance, and I will give back the fullness of your true nature, you know. Again, so we need to understand and be ready to allow, you know, the scriptures to take away our ignorance.
Yeah, it isn't actually a loss, like you say, but it feels like a loss to the jiva, to the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when there is a stage in our development that we see the value of self-knowledge, but we are not 100% certain about it. We see the value of our physical, material assets, you know, our rich, our bank account, our social position, you know. We see both. You know, we see the value of moksha, you know, but I see the value of all these other identities I hold, you know. And then it can be scary at a certain point, because I say, oh my God, now I have to invest more time and energy into my pursuit of moksha. And the amount of time and energy we have is limited. We sleep 8 hours, and then we have to do so many other things, work and so on. And now I'm really hot about this moksha thing, and it means that I need to make more room. So I'm going to have to dissociate more and more from other pursuits to become more and more, you know, serious and commit to this. So in the beginning, one may feel like, oh my God, so I mean, I want to grow with this self-knowledge thing, but you know, but I want to keep all the other things that I have gained in life so far, these indirect things. So one may feel like, oh, how I'm going to get the courage to do that? I have to sacrifice my relationship. I'm used to talk a lot of my neighbors and my boyfriend, girlfriend, and my other friends. There is so much energy that goes in, but I have a value for them. So how I'm going to dissociate and associate with the scriptures? So it costs something, and it's natural that it feels a little bit scary because we are still not clear about the value of self-knowledge, and the limitations of all other indirect means to bring us this sense of security and completion and peace and satisfaction. So I often tell people, Mark, that don't worry, keep keep moving more and more, investing more and more of your time and energy into this self-inquiry. Keep investing more, but don't invest more to the point that you become too agitated with fear and insecurity. Invest what you can. Invest what you can lose, like in the world of investments, especially risk investment. So it's wise to say, no, invest. You want to invest, but invest only that you can afford losing. So you invest just what you can afford losing. And then gradually you will see that you are ready to lose everything for moksha. You understand? And then as this understand grows, the fear diminishes and the courage to risk everything, is established because you'll see that I'm not risking anything. It was fake money, you know. It's sweet money. It's fake money. There is no value in this money.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Arvinda.
What do you think, Karen?
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, is a little bit at a time. That's otherwise, because I tend to get stuck in the fear, that almost immobilizes me, and when things fall apart too quickly, or I guess letting go once. So I see the value of the gradually part.
Yeah, it's important. Otherwise, the mind becomes disturbed, agitated, and then we cannot do our job, our spiritual work of inquiry, contemplating and so on.
Well, and I see the pattern of how this works, because I have a deep pattern of fear, I guess, and anxiety, and so I look at the big picture too much all the time, I think, and get afraid rather than being good at taking the smaller steps. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I brought this conversation to you because you already exposed here and there this insecurity and fear of losing, losing this sense of security that the objects and our jobs, our positions, they provide us with. So that's why I brought this conversation to you. So we don't want to do it too fast or beyond my capacity to handle it, So if I'm attached to something, I'm attached to some object, believing that security lies on those objects. So we need to respect that kind of ignorance. We need to respect our ignorance as well. No, it's ignorance, but I respect. You understand? I cannot try to be violent and try to uproot something that somehow we are not ready yet, and then the mind rebels, and then it pushes back very strongly. So we need to take it easy and be gentle. with our attachment, our ignorance, and go slow, keeping the mind calm and satisfied and peaceful, and then moving, and then investing a little bit more and more. Now we are just moving our dependence from these first two human pursuits to dharma and then to moksha gradually. It has to be gradual.
Well, I've been it's kind of hit in the face here with what my daughter's been going through, and she just called off her wedding and with her partner of 8 years, and it puts you into like, oh my God, the being dependent on another human jiva, and severing a cord like that is very huge. It's shows you the severance of a dependence.
Yeah, those are good red flags. You just say, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I remember again Papaji saying, attach yourself to anything. Attach means be dependent, stay dependent, make yourself attached and dependent to anything that changes, and these things will bite you in the end. It was his own way to say, hey, just detach from all objects as a means of resolution of the human fundamental problem. Forget about trying to find this satisfaction. It does not mean that we need to live in a cave and never having a husband or wife, but understand that a relationship with the other should not be based on dependence alone. Should be a partnership, a cooperation, and that's what has inspired me at the time to get married with my wife. Papaji was presenting us with this perspective of marriage as a very beautiful relationship in which two individuals support one another in this process of spiritual growth, spiritual elevation, you understand? Rather than, oh no, you are my piece of cake and I'm going to extract all the joy and happiness of my mind from you, and I promise you that I will be your cake as well. I'm going to make you happy forever, So this is delusional, and maturity is the ability to see through the delusion and to understand that this sense of security, peace, and happiness and joy can only be could be established, by understanding where it lies. It lies within our true nature, And this process of spiritual growth is going to prepare us for this final understanding, proposed, present to us by the Upanishads.
And everything changes, that's what's, people change,
Yeah.
situations change, and you can't depend on that being stable for your whole life,
Well, I mean, look at the world now, the world we live now. The world has changed so drastically in 2020, and it seems that the speed of change is just increasing in a totally crazy way with all these new technologies and so on, And we don't know. I mean, the sense of security somehow that we used to have in the past, things are stable, we can rely. Next year is going to be more or less like that. And now we look at situation, maybe the whole financial system is going to be redesigned. The whole, social system is going to be redesigned. This is going to be redesigned. Where I'm standing on this world, So it is, it's exactly what Papaji said. Don't be really relying on the field, on the setup of the field. We need to work on our mindset like Swami Paramarthananda like to say, forget about setup because it's not trustworthy, and work on your mindset before it's too late. So the mindset is like, okay, I appreciate a setup that is conducive to stability, but if it is not, and then I have my inner strength, which is based on my mindset, my knowledge, my understanding, my my spiritual strength, and so on. So we have a human life. We have had the merit of having a human birth, as present in the Viveka Chudamani. It's a great merit, blessing, incarnation. And then we had the merit to come to the scriptures, to Vedanta, to have our Sangha, to have our teachers. This is all due to our merit, And we just need to keep doing our work because we want to be out of here. To be out of here means out of the dependence on the setup of samsara. We don't want to depend on the setup of samsara. We want to be done with samsara in that sense, And that is only possible by this spiritual strengths developed by self-knowledge, Well, Ishvara knowledge, understand Ishvara is already gives us a lot of strength, Anything else? Anybody else? Okie dokie. We move then into the. I send you the email with our next chapter. No, I mean we don't need to cover one chapter every Monday. We can cover one chapter over a few Mondays, depending on how much meat, to use one of lovely spiritual Ramji's expression. Now, to be more spiritual, we can say, if we have a chapter that has more tofu to it, and then we can stretch it over a few weeks. Okay.
Is there an assignment for Monday?
Monday. Feel free to play, to read, to begin your contemplation. The more you prepare, the deeper we can go with our class, And the format we want to follow more or less is we go about 1 hour, and then we open up for further discussions, Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you all. Namaste. We meet again next Monday. Much love.
Thank you.
And let's keep doing the great work, the good work.
Ciao.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.